Medical Director of the Rosevine Hospitals, Aba, Dr. Chinedu Ndubizu, in an interview with Living TV News crew, described maternal mortality as female deaths associated with pregnancy, labor, and childbirth. Speaking on the causes of maternal mortality, the medical experts attribute it to the high level of ignorance on the part of pregnant women, poverty, illiteracy, societal tradition, habit, lack of trained health workers, and also obnoxious religious beliefs.
Seen as a benchmark for health status measurement of mothers and children, because it's about if the mother is well, when you say train a woman or feed a woman well, you feed the whole nation. So when a woman is not well, the children that she will beget will not be well, and the whole nation suffers from it.
Dr. Ndubizu further states that if some of the aforementioned issues are well handled, then the rate of maternal death can be reduced, while adding that poor nutrition and illegal or over-the-counter drugs could also be a contributory factor to maternal deaths. On what could be done to ensure a drastic reduction or the high rate of maternal death, Dr. Chinedu says all hands should be on deck to ensure it's eradicated from a society, if not totally, but to the barest minimum. He further calls on families, churches who go ahead to open illegal hospitals in the churches, all in the name to make money, to quit from such acts which endangers lives, and also the government to, as a matter of urgency, continue holding seminars to educate the ignorant and illiterate ones on what's expected of them while and during pregnancy.
The people of Akiri-Kobu, a community in Okwa East local government area of Abia State, has begun to sight a light at the end of the tunnel as a team of police officers and soldiers, including Area Commander Abba, visited to investigate the sites of invasion and occupancy, as well as the renaming of a village in the locality. Living TV News crew were there.
The problem of Akiri-Kobu has never been a boundary dispute, but invasion and occupancy by the people of Ika, a community in Akwa Ibom State. These two communities have been at each other's throats, despite being close neighbors, and have over the times intermarried. These the people believed would have cushioned the effect of the existing problems. In 2000, the Ika community invaded Akiri-Kobu community and set houses ablaze. Some lives were equally lost. For instance, this church, United Evangelical Church, was invaded while church service was going on, and since then no service has taken place here. The two then National Assembly members, former Senate President, Right Honorable Adolphus Wabara and Honorable Chinoyere Makebo, tried to investigate and intercede, but were ambushed alongside 2 unit police officers in their company. Recently, a community primary school in Akiri-Kobu was renovated and renamed. Also, there are ongoing projects, electricity and water. However, the people of Akiri-Kobu are desperately imploring on Dr. Okezie Ikpeazu, Abia State Governor, to intervene and stop all the ongoing projects in their area.
Then the Ika people came in, they came to grade the road February last year. They came to put our electricity again. We said no, it can't happen. Have you invited? You have to come and tell us you want to bring us some useful amenities. If we agreed, then you can bring it. But if you don't agree, you cannot force us to bring in what we don't want to receive. They use their force. That is why we went to court. We went to court, and the court put an injunction on that their road they want to build. Upon that, and the school, they are operating on our land. The court gave an injunction, put an injunction April last year. After that injunction, they insist.
It is always at security risk. You are sitting on a gun port at any time it can explode. The problem in Akiri-Kobu has been existing for some years now. Federal government has come in, state government has come in. But still, the Akwa Ibom State people feel they continue without any respect of constitution or Commission of Inquiry or whatever. They want to annex this community into Akwa Ibom State. And we are saying we are not indigenous of Akwa Ibom. We have no traditional linkage with them, so we cannot go to Akwa Ibom State. But they are trying all they could that they must annex this community of Akwa Ibom State. What we want the government to do now is that the government of Abia State should intervene. They should intervene and then ask Akwa Ibom State people not to parade themselves as the administrator of this community. The government should immediately move all the signposts being planted by the Akwa Ibom State government.
The Ukwa East Local Government Area Chairman, Honorable Lewis Chinemerem, expressed dismay over the issue.
This local government, this is their local government. If you go through it, there is no place you will see a Okot Odo. Okay. There is no place. Because Okot Odo cannot exist from the blues.
Yes.
They must exist from somewhere. They must hail from somewhere. There is no place in Eka. The Ika local government, there is no place where you see a court Anna. In this state, this is government gazetted documents. There is no place. So why are we now beating about the bush? And this River State, Akwa Ibom State government knows all these things. They have these documents. So what is their aim?
It is based on this information that the Abia State government delegated the area commander, ACP Peter Oparudu, and team of soldiers to visit for fact-finding. The mission was not quite an easy task, as lack of good access road made their investigation a Herculean task. Akri-Ikobu is a border community between Abia State and Akwa Ibom State. They are mainly farmers, and currently they lack the presence of the government. Living TV News.
From the statistics of the World Health Organization, WHO, and other agencies, Nigeria is being rated second highest in the occurrence of cervical cancer, which has claimed many lives. Ozima Smart files in the report.
Dr. Ndubizu of the Rosevine Medical Hospitals defines cervical cancer as the abnormal growth at the cervix, which is actually caused by a virus called the HPV, human papilloma virus. He says forms of contacting the cancerous disease could be through sex, which includes having multiple sexual partners, unprotected sex, early exposure to sex, and also genetical factors. Others include poor hygiene, multiple pregnancies, using birth control pills for a long duration of time, and long-term use of hormonal contraceptives. Explaining further, the medical practitioner adds that once a woman has approached the age of 18, proper care should be taken of her cervix, which is where the virus first attacks, though he says the virus could last long in the body if contacted early. Furthermore, he says periodic screening should be done to ascertain the presence of the virus or any abnormal growth in the cervix, which in some cases could be cancerous. On what should be done if the virus or cancer is noticed in the cervix, Dr. Ndubizu states that once a test or screening is conducted and the case identified, the best thing to do is to remove the cervix entirely or chemotherapy performed on the patient to either kill the cells around the cervix and the removal of the entire uterus. Dr. Ndubizu, however, advises that to reduce the case of the ailment, sex education to be given to women on how to identify an abnormal growth around the cervix, how the lifestyle should be maintained by the men who have multiple sex partners and in turn infect their wives, and then total abstinence from unprotected sex and adequate screening for women who have attained the age of 18 and above.
And now to sports news. The semi-finals of the CAF Confederation Cup continues on Wednesday, the 3rd of October 2018. Enyimba FC of Aba, Nigeria will be playing against Raja Casablanca of Morocco at home, while Masri will be at home against Vida Club FC. The winners of the 2018 CAF Confederation Cup will play against the winners of the Champions League, CAF Champions League in 2018 CAF Cup coming up in December. The UEFA Champions League continues on Wednesday with the following fixtures. PSG of France will be at home against Red Star Belgrade. FC Lokomotiv Moscow will play against Schalke 04 of Germany. Atletico Madrid of Spain will be against Club Brugge. PSV Eindhoven will be at home against Inter Milan. Tottenham of England will be playing against Barcelona of Spain at home. Napoli will be in Italy against Liverpool of England, while FC Porto will be playing against Galatasaray. the sports news conclude our news bulletin tonight. But before we go, a recap of the major items in the news. The Nigerian Labour Congress has suspended the earlier scheduled 7-day warning strike, which lasted 3 days, to ensure enabling environment for the tripartite committee sitting on October 4. Nigeria hits top of the countries with high rate of maternal mortality rates, according to reports by the World Health Organization, WHO. Thanks for tuning in news tonight. I am Margaret Chicks. Stay tuned for the rest of our programs.
TV, and the program is Test My Food. Of course, I'm Kate. We're going to be talking about everything food. Nigerian dishes, African dishes, from the east, the west, the north, the south. Yeah, we'll do some dabbling into some intercontinental dishes. I know you're already salivating. If you want to learn about everything food, just stay tuned to Living TV.
Living TV, bringing the word first to you.
Hello, good day, and welcome to Living TV Global. Today on Living TV, we are going to treat a topic on, do I say, indiscriminate siting of refuse dumps here in Aba. I don't know of other places, so I wouldn't know. But particularly, we are saying that there is indiscriminate siting of refuse dumps. And in our Health Watch today, we want to take a look and ask questions. Is it right? Is it the proper thing to be done, having refuse dumps, burial pits, just indiscriminately, not minding the health hazards it pertains to? Well, I have in the house to answer this question, to enlighten us if it is right or not. And welcome, Pastor Ejike Obi.
Thank you very much.
Pastor Ejike Obi is a sanitarian with the Public Health Isialangwa Salt, LGA, and he's the director there.
A deputy director.
A deputy director. I'm out. And also, because I know you'll be wondering, Pastor, he's a pastor with the Living Water Ministries, precisely Living Waters region in Eziama. So you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank God we have somebody in the public health sector who answer these questions. I want to know, and I know that our viewer out there will want to know too, what is or are the prerequisites for siting a refuse dump in a city?
Okay, there are a number of things to consider while siting a refuse dump. Number one is the topography of the place.
Okay.
And looking at the topography, you look at proximity to water sources. If the place is slopey, the refuse dump should not be on top. Because the water body will be down, certainly.
Water level, you mean?
Both water level and water body in the case of surface water.
Okay.
Streams and such things. So, when you look at that, you look at accessibility. All year round accessibility is not something you can access at certain seasons in the year and wouldn't be accessible in other seasons. You look at the area, how large the dump is. Is it able to contain the volume of refuse generated within a certain period for how long? It's not something you start today and tomorrow you begin to look for a new place. You also look at the population density, how proximal it is to where people are living, you know, considering pollutions, aesthetic values. You know, these things come to play. What's the possible pollutions that will come from this dump site? How does it affect the people around us? All these come into consideration before you begin to site any refuse dump.
Okay. So topography, water sources, accessibility, how long? That means it's not going to be a year thing.
Not
1 year, 10 years, 20 years.
About that.
Okay, should be the approximate duration.
Let's look at 10 years.
10 years. Okay. So water bodies.
That includes both surface water
and
underground water, because certainly there is going to be leaching. This refuse, in the process of decomposing, will bring out waste water also, even though they are solid waste. But in the process of decomposing, you know, and this will seep down
to the water level. And so that means dangerous.
That is it.
Okay.
And then the rainwater can flush them into the streams also.
Okay.
So you take cognizance of all these possibilities before and if it's going to flush into the stream, who are the people using the stream? Is it their source of drinking water? Or household water for household use, even at that? So these things come to play in taking a decision to choose a dump site.
Okay, so it's wrong to site a refuse dump close to residential area.
It is wrong.
Now that we have such refuse dumps here in Aba, what is the chance, that is, how is it going to affect the lives of people living in such areas?
Well, you will discover that wherever you have refuse dumps, the possibility it becomes a breeding site.
Exactly.
For vectors and vermines, you know, roaches, rodents, and such things, mosquitoes, and you know the health implication of these things. And by extension, where you have rodents, is an open invitation to snakes also that feed on them. So that will pose a danger to the residents of that area. You will also discover, you know, the aesthetic value of the area. Unsightliness coming there, usually unsightly. You also talk of the other nuisance that will emanate from the emission of gases. And these rodents I talked about earlier are also unsightly on their own. So there's nothing comely about having refuse dumps in a residential area. Then you talk of the water pollution that go with it. I've talked about it earlier, both surface and underground water. And you now discover that most residential houses now have boreholes.
Every other house here in Aba has one.
And you are not certain of the depth, you know the aquifer they are using to source their water. You are not also certain of any form of treatment for the water. Which doesn't
exist.
So once polluted, what happens?
It's polluted.
And you will discover that you can control the water that comes to your premises. But when it is at that level, if it is polluted here, maybe at Obo Hill, and
definitely
and that aquifer spreads to Osisioma, it is polluted at Osisioma also.
You mean that because of the hilly topography of Obo Hill?
Exactly.
So the water will move?
Certainly, water must find this level.
So now, that means the people are prone to health hazards.
That's the issue. And sometimes we don't know. You term it, they sent it from the village.
Now that these people, they found themselves in this situation, what would they do? Because certainly, because there are this area that I know some of these
one other thing, let me come in here. One other thing that I didn't mention is obstruction.
That's another
obstruction.
One. Yes.
Due to poor management. I know our management system here, you know, if you move from here to Omoahia, a section of the road have been blocked by refuse.
Even destroyed.
Destroyed. Complete. For how many years?
Yes.
Because of refuse. So imagine when that kind of site is in a this one is off the city. When such site is in a residential area, how accessible will it be to the people residing there?
Most times they don't even...
Obstruction by the reason of the refuse. Obstruction by the reason of the trucks that carry the refuse.
Yeah.
So,
now, what should the people concerned do? The residents in those areas, what should they do to help themselves?
Number one is the government have to come in. They own the dump sites, and they should be able to take care of these dump sites. They should be able to relocate it, knowing the dangers, you know. So, primarily, it's a government issue. If the government does not relocate it, there is close to nothing the people will be able to do on their own.
So if I own a house in such an area, that means...
Except you go by litigation, and you know our legal system. You know our legal system. It's become a system of him that bears the piper detecting the
exactly.
So I'm not trying to indict anybody,
no,
but we know
anybody.
our systems.
Now, these people, they found themselves in this place, and so to say, they don't have any option. They don't have option because you can't pull your house.
You can't pull your house.
And maybe you didn't know it's going to be there. It's going to be sited there, and you paid, house rent doesn't exceed, it's not less than 2 years.
Yeah.
And you are there. You cannot abandon your money.
And suddenly they come to cite it. Well, I think there should be protests, so. And they should shout out to, if the government is not listening, there could be human rights people that will come to their intervention, and maybe those ones the government may listen to, but going it in individually, you may not be able to succeed. Do anything.
But then, okay, you've told us the vermin that will be attracted because of this refuse dump. What are the sicknesses that may come out because the stench, the dirt, and every other? Because these roaches will eventually be visiting the homes. The flies, the snakes, because the snakes will follow the rodents to, because the rodents will be running away to service and there, and that's one wants food.
Enter the house.
Yes.
Well, are we going to take them one by one? Talking about rodents, rats are inclusive. All the ranges, Ratus, Novengicus, Musculus, whatever name they be. And when they end up in houses, diseases associated with rats. Lassa fever is there, ravaging people. I remember a doctor friend in Ebonyi State died not knowing the patient he was treating was, the case was a Lassa fever case, and the man just died and left their family. This is something that would have been prevented by such acts. And, flies, the offensive order is an open invitation to flies. And flies are the worst offenders when it comes to fecal-oral diseases. And fecal, feces, oral. And flies carry their stew about, or their soup about, when they move around, and they come to perch on your food. Before they eat, they deposit their stew, turn it, eat as much as they want, and you eat the remains of what flies has left, and the implication.
Cholera, diarrhea.
Diarrheal diseases, the range. And at the end, people, in fact, the bottom line is that people are eating poison by reason of this.
Now, you said people should protest. They are already there.
And they come to cite such settings.
Yes.
And they should protest.
But then, those people, there was this one I saw, a restaurant close by, it is the road that divided, and these guys, we are relishing the nkwobi, and despite the stench, is it healthy?
Restaurant, healthy. There's something people don't consider when they eat out. How healthy is the place they are eating? How healthy? Now, this one that is cited by the dump site, I doubt if that facility will have the necessary facilities for its approval. So, and people just see good food, unquote. That woman knows how to cook. and they are rushing. And at the end of the day, some of them end up in hospitals.
Definitely.
And the irony is that they don't even link what they are going through to what they have eaten.
Sure.
Because if they do, tomorrow they won't go back there. If they do, they will be able to tell, madam, why not relocate? So, people have to be conscious of these things and be able to know what to do. If it is the only eatery, let me go in hungry that day. Or better off, go for fruits, which is even healthier than the nkwobi you say they are relishing.
And again, Pastor, children are involved in this case. At times, you even see these children picking things from.
That is why I find it difficult, because
it's just across
to control these children from going there is difficult. They are being exposed to the traffic of those heavy trucks that bear the refuse to that place. And when they get to that point and pick things, and on coming back out,
they may not know that somebody
on coming out, they have seen uncle or auntie with gala and grabs it with the same hand. Our children have not fully learned hand washing before eating anything. And until we get to that point, it is on us to control these children, on the parents and the caregivers to control these children. So, even when these things come to the house, like the rodents coming over to the house, you discover that the most at risk are these children also. If something is happening to me, I am able to say, I can think back to begin to, this is the source, but not them. And sometimes they are unable to tell you, I went to that dump site. And you can't fully control them from going there. It's a source of attraction, no matter how what stench that comes out from there. When they see even these scavengers going there, they will want to go and find out what these scavengers go there to do. So, it's a risk all over.
So, well, I think what we are trying to portray, what we are trying to make you understand, for those that live close to such refuse dump site, you should be careful. I think the best option is to leave that place, because your life is at risk.
Exactly.
Your children's life is at risk. Imagine that the money you earn every month, you spend it in the hospital. What's the essence? So the best option for you is move out from that place. Well, for the landlord, it's up to you. The landlords, I'm not trying to incite anybody, but it's your responsibility to call the people responsible to tell them, we were here before you cited this thing. You didn't consider us. I think there's something I learned some time ago about reclaiming.
Okay.
I think such sites could be reclaimed and turned to something useful.
Exactly. In reclaiming, it's still going to be a dump site in the first place if you're reclaiming. Because
it has to go over.
In reclaiming, you deposit the refuse. At the end of each day, you cover with earth and compact every day. And reclaiming is, most of the time, what we do is crude dumping.
Okay, crude.
Like the one you talked about,
yes,
is an example of crude dumping. Reclaiming is a landfill site, but in a modern way, where when you have poured the refuse, you spread it, and you cover at the end of every day, not week, not month. you cover it with earth at the end of every day and compact, you will discover that when you do it, the unsightliness would have been eliminated.
Yes.
The other nuisance would have been reasonably controlled. But what you would not have controlled is the contamination of underground water.
So there's still risk. Okay, so people whose is their responsibility, please do something. Before you site any refuse dump, consider the people around that area. It doesn't matter, maybe the landowner must have sold it cheap, or maybe he's in their need of money, he wants money, and you take advantage of that and bought that land.
At the detriment of the people.
That's not fair.
It's not wrong to buy land, but for what purpose?
Yes. And as professionals, please do the right thing. Check out if you are meeting up with the prerequisite for siting such a place. I've seen ones off town. Those ones, at least it will take 10 or more years for modernity or whatever to encroach into such a place.
Exactly.
And before it will reach that place, at least they must have started reclaiming it and site another one.
Something else. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Pastor Ejike Obi.
Always my pleasure.
Well, you have been enlightened, because the essence of Health Watch is to tell you, enlighten you, educate you about your health. We want you healthy here in Living TV. I am Ogechi Ibujono. Till same time next week. Have beautiful days ahead.
Living TV, bringing the word first to you.
Pero sin lugar a duda hoy día tiene la gran responsabilidad de llevar el brazalete y en este estadio en particular nunca ha podido, que los últimos 6 o 7 partidos ha conseguido 6 goles, es el gran goleador de este equipo y en donde la mayoría de este sea en la formación habitualmente, como dice Bam Moquero. Sí, vamos a ver cómo va a meter en posición a los 11 Lopetegui. Yo creo que va a jugar con un 4-3-3. Real Madrid contra el CSKA de Moscú. Vámonos a Continental, que jugó no solamente, ojo, se equivoca, Kroos, ¡gol! ¡Gol! ¡Del CSKA! Se equivoca Toni Kroos, entrega la pelota para Nikola Vlasic, que enfrenta al arquero. Aquí tenemos al croata y marca el primero. ¡Sorpresa! ¡Sorpresa en Moscú! Lo gana. No es habitual que un hombre que promedia arriba del 90% de efectividades. Los demás ha sido sustituido en todos. El cuadro del Real Madrid. Pero se le lesiona. Acá está mal parada la saga del Real Madrid. La toca. ¿Por qué no le pegaste de primera? ¿Por qué no le pega Fedor Chalón de primera? Ha sido aprovechada por Chalón. Levanta la pelota. El impacto termina siendo por arriba, pero de nueva cuenta metiendo presión. Levanta buen servicio para Reguilón de zurda. Reguilón, allí está el zurdazo. La pelota rechazada y después Dani Carvajal tuvieron que ser los alerones. Por un lado, si toca esa pelota de gol, mira, fíjate, tira su pie con la pelota para Casemiro de manera muy inteligente, deja que pase. Casemiro a pegarle, Casemiro, la pelota a la base del palo.
But this was the one, this was the chance for Benzema. Does Ray have nowhere near it? Just didn't get the power. It's a little.
Real Madrid have possession. Sancho. Maybe will go for goal and does, and it was moving, and Akinfeev had to move smartly to his left to save.
Cabal has been in front of them for most of the evening.
Benzema.
Not quite happened for him. It's shone, have they, for Real Madrid as Raul